Hey, what's up? I'm Zach. Monster Factory is a 6-episode docuseries on Apple TV Plus, and it centers around an eclectic group of aspiring pro wrestlers and the issues that they encounter both inside and outside of the ring. I got to speak with Danny Cage, the former pro wrestler turned coach who became owner and operator of the Monster Factory. Check it out. Monster Factory, Apple TV Plus. It's streaming now. Support for M&F Reps is brought to you by Manscaped. At manscaped.com, they have a fleet of grooming tools. It'll take care of everything from the hair on your face, to your ears, to your nose, to your pits, to whatever that is. And if you're one of those guys that's like, well, I'll just use one of those disposable razors, go right ahead, man. It's your skin's funeral. Manscaped sent me the Beard Hedger Pro Kit. You get, obviously, the Beard Hedger. You also get beard shampoo, beard conditioner, beard balm, beard oil, a beard brush, a comb, scissors, the case. What I really liked about this, one guard, allows for 20 different lengths. So you don't have to have a bunch of those little plastic clips scattered around. The drawer in my bathroom was a graveyard of those things, and it was just gross. Remember, you get 20% off if you go to manscaped.com and use the code REPS20. It's free shipping worldwide. That means if you live on this planet, you can have it shipped to you for free. So if you live on the moon, you're pretty much
Don't forget to use code REPS20 for 20% off your order at manscaped.com, bro.
So the end of 2010, 2011 is when you acquired or you purchased it. So how long was that in the making?
I was training at the Monster Factory back in 98. My first tryout was in 94. And then you'll see in the series why I didn't start right away. And then I started in 98, wrestled till about 2004, away from wrestling for a while. I was injured. It's kind of like put it this way, if you broke up with your girlfriend or got a divorce, you want it out of your mind. I stayed away from wrestling. I didn't even really watch it. And I bumped into Larry through serendipity, got to talk, and the torch was passed. And it's a lot longer story than that.
What were some of the changes that you made initially? When somebody takes over or they acquire something, there are things that they think that they can improve or that they know they can improve. What were some of those things that you initiated?
I almost changed everything other than the price, because I always wanted to keep it like Larry's price and his policy about lifetime memberships. If you join, you can train here forever, just as long as you're in good standing and, you're not a piece of crap. When I bought it, all I got was the name. We had no school. We had no social media. There was nothing. It was just the name. So from 2010 till now, I built up the brand and got us a new ring, got us a couple rings. Then I started teaching production, wanting everybody to learn everything involved with pro wrestling, getting onto social media, talk to them about branding and the things that are really important in pro wrestling. We did none of that. Like when I trained at the Monster Factory, it was old school, man. You got in, it was like 6:30 to 8, you were in, and then you got out, and that was it. And there was no heating, no air conditioning, and it was just a brick building. That was it. When you see from the show, a lot of it has changed, of course. If I'd known everything that went into pro wrestling, I also would have took theater and creative writing and other things. So that's what I'm trying to pass on to this generation and next generation so they see it. Because we're all just theater kids, man. But we're also super crazy athletic.
If you could narrow it down to one, what's maybe the most common thing people trip up about when they're first starting out?
They literally think we rehearse matches. Like we don't rehearse matches. Like we might talk about it. Like hey, we're going to do this and, might head over there and you do this. But we're not rehearsing it. They're not wrestling that match 10 times to get it right before the curtain opens.
Yeah.
So you don't know who you're wrestling till 5 minutes before the match happens. And then you do the old called in the ring thing where you just put the person in the headlock and start talking. And it won't be, I'm going to take you to the corner and do this. But it'll just be like, I'll get tossed, arm drag, get it again. And then you'll just go, got it. And the person will be, yep. And then you go.
You're coaching these people. Does it have to adapt by the person or the personality? Because some people do respond when you yell in their face or you challenge them that way. Some people, that's not how to bring their best out. Or are you just the same and they have to adapt to you?
Yeah, so it is a little bit different. Like back when I started coaching with the old school mentality of these are my rules. This is it. Stick with them, whatever. Through the decade and plus since then, it's changed. I tell them to check in with me, to tell me what's going on. Everything with me, I tell them communication is key. You'll hear me say two things over and over again if you ever train with me. Communication is key and repetition breeds habit. And repetition breeds habit can go both ways. The more you do something good, the more you'll pick it up and it'll become second nature. Same thing goes for bad habits. So our big thing is communication. I do say this though, we are an open book at the school, meaning we will discuss everything and anything. Like these kids all know my financial woes. They know what's going on with my wife, my kids, me, things with my mental health issues. This way I can show them, here's me, 49 years old, being open-minded and telling you all about my issues. Like, stop binding him in, stop holding it in. If it's not talking to me, talk to one of your teammates, talk to one of your peers, talk to one of your parents, do something, because that's the biggest thing. Is a lot of coaches, and especially in pro wrestling, it's like the old school mentality. If I got their money, it ain't my business if they show up or not, whatever. But like, I'm a coach, I'm a teacher. I don't want to lose a student. That's what a real coach is like. But if I have to lose a student for them to become a better person and I'm the bad guy at the end, that's fine. As long as they become a better person, then they'll realize, a couple of years down the road, man, he was right. He helped me with that. Literally, my phone number is on my car. I give my phone number out all the time. Hey, if you're having issues, just anybody in general, text me, call me, whatever. I don't have the answers. I got time though. And that's sometimes all you need, because you could just be like, oh, someone cares. Oh my God, my day has changed. That's all you need. And, to try to be like that tough guy and it's like, oh, get over it and this and that. And then sometimes I do say that though, like on certain things where we've crossed the path. I know you can do it. You sat in here before. You'll see with the TV show, one of the students, they tried to quit when they were like 17 and I wouldn't let them. And now they're facing this other crossroads and they're trying to like second guess themselves again.
Was that Goldie? Look at him. You wouldn't think that he has this anxiety or social anxiety. No. You think that he is super confident. And the fact, I just think it's so humanizing to know that there are people that are fighting through this and they're putting themselves out there and they're confronting this fear rather than let it run their lives. And it's not easy. I mean, he wants to quit and you won't let him. And God, that is so, but that's so awesome that he has somebody there that can yank him back and not just let him walk off. That's somebody that does care.
Well, it was also like a group effort. A lot of times it was his parents communicating with me, because I tell all the parents and everybody that ever comes in, we have an open door policy. Come in, watch your kids train. We have a juniors program. I tell them, watch your kids train, sitting here every day and every night we're in here. And his parents just told us, like, when they signed him up, they're like, don't let him quit. He's going to try to quit. Don't you let him. And I didn't. Like, he tried to find every way possible. He would hide behind the curtain until we started, and then he'd be like, I saw on the website, there's like a 6-month membership. Could I just do that? And give my parents their money back. I want to get out of here. And I was like, no, I'm not letting you. And they're not getting a refund. And, now he's the leader, but he still goes through the stuff. But it's that path. If he didn't have somebody believing in him, he didn't take the chance. It's not just me believing in him. It was his parents and it was people around him at the school. And that's why I run the ship. That's why people are like, oh, you're toxic. And everyone now who really knows me is like, no, he's not toxic. He's actually being that way. So toxic people don't get around the students. And that's what people don't realize. But again, like I said, I'll be the bad guy every time for these kids. It's just what I'll do.
There's a few things that I think will resonate with people. The confronting fear and the anxiety portion. The other one, and the name's escaping me, but the person that was at a job that they hated. So what they did was they pursued something that was their passion. And I'm dealing with a lot of my friends calling me, talking about this. They feel as though they're stuck. They don't know where to go. And they feel as though life is almost passed them by. And then I look at that and I'm like, no, you can change it. You just have to go for it and go balls to the wall and really give yourself to it. And that was really a powerful message.
That was Bobby Buffet. And I tell it to the students all the time. When I was wrestling, I didn't go balls to the wall and all in, because I had a 6-figure job, union job with awesome benefits, working for the phone company. And for me to not work on the weekends, it would cost me like $1,500 to go make $20. So I wasn't serious about it. But I tell the kids, unless you have that, you have to just do this. Just grind it out for a year or two. And then it'll be 3, and then it'll be 4. And it's never going to be working, because you're going down a path. You're on a journey. You don't want to set up camp and stay there. You're on a journey. Right. You got to be mobile. You have to have something that's going to keep you going and moving, and figure that out for yourself. And especially with today's world, with the way you can make money with the internet, between even OnlyFans and just selling your merchandise and monetizing. Sure. product. There's so many different ways to make money where you don't have to rely on working for somebody else.
You are the brand. And
Yep.
if you brand yourself properly and you do it right, you said it, there's a lot of different ways you can hit it, but you got to put the work in and you got to show up and you got to do it.
What was great about when I first started coaching is our warm-ups we had no warm-ups. We got in the ring, we just did a bunch of tackles and like just murdered your body either in the steaming heat or freezing cold. So I was like, all right, let's make our warm-ups be like amateur wrestling. You used to go for a jog and then we would stretch out a little bit and then we would do some blow-up drills and stuff like that. Then we'd do some instructional stuff. Then we'd do some body weight stuff. Then we'd break into groups and that's the way we started doing it. But then I'd have amateur wrestlers also join and they'd be like, hey, we do this other drill that's pretty cool, and then we would add this all to our stuff. And our warm-ups are 45 minutes, but like for everybody from every fitness level could do it. Now you're not going to be able to finish it, but you're going to be able to do it. And we were trying to find different ways to build teamwork, and so we'll break into groups of 3 and competitions, and whoever loses has to set up for the show next weekend and stuff like that.
So it's on Apple TV Plus, 6-episode series. How involved with you? Did they come to you and say, hey, look, we want you to take a look at what we did. What do you think?
They wouldn't really show me anything. It's not a reality show. It's not fake. It's a docuseries. They just let us be us. There was nothing like, I need this. And could we do more of that? The only time we would ever get into anything, it would be if they missed something because the audio dropped and we might have to just repeat what we said later. But they weren't trying to decide what happens. And that's what was great. All raw emotion and people being real.
Do you feel like they captured it, presented it like reality?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
The only thing I told them is like there was only maybe 2 slight little changes I would have made, but it was minuscule. It's just something to laugh at. It's almost like a microphone in a scene or a Starbucks Game of Thrones scene. Other than that, they captured everything and nobody got hung out to dry, because that was another thing. I don't care if it really happens. If something terrible happens to somebody, we're not putting it out there. I'm not ruining anybody's life. I'll blow this whole thing up. I told him I walked into this poor, I'll leave this poor. I don't give a shit.
This is refreshing because for so long, everybody lived their gimmick, right? Even when I was at WWE, when I worked there, we couldn't do an interview with The Undertaker because he was dead. And I'm like, come on. Now it's like, and I don't think it's ruined anything. I think it's highlighted how good of a performer you have to be to get a crowd riled up.
It's improv, it's acting, it's everything. And it's the most amazing thing ever. And the only reason it was closed off is because people are afraid to let people in, because you might actually have to pay people more money. My lawyer reads the contracts for the wrestlers and for me and for other people. And he's like, this is amazing. I can't even believe they get away with this. And they're like, you can sign it because everybody does, but I can't even believe they get away with this. Like the whole independent contractor thing. People might say, oh my God, I can't believe he's saying that they're not going to want to work with them now. I don't care. I don't want to work with anybody. Meaning I don't want to work for anybody. I don't want a job with AEW. I don't want a job with WWE. I don't. I like what I do because I get to my art and get my kids all ready for them. And I just think the reason wrestling's closed off now is because the more doors you open, the more they're like, you should unionize, you should do this. That's why I think like they started their own WWE studios. We can't open this up to regular studios. Now we got Screen Actors Guild and we got all this stuff. But if they did that, they would make so much more money, because now that opens your doors up to actually legitimate art form where people aren't embarrassed to watch it.
But WWE is clearly the biggest. It's also had an older guy, Vince McMahon, had a stranglehold on what went on for so long. And I'm pretty sure I think he's got back into it now. But that, in a sense, what I think you're saying is that it's held the progression of the art form back.
It's that creativity of, hey, we're not in the big market. We have to be like minor league baseball and figure out a niche or a little thing that works for us, or some kind of gimmick or some kind of giveaway, or get more creative. Like we do that sometimes just through creativity. We do shows called Factory Fridays where we pick different themes. Sometimes it's video games. Sometimes it's 80s action hero movies. We just did Marvel versus DC. And the wrestlers dress up as their characters that they want to portray, and they be them. And it's just fun to do. I just think that the WWE and the AEW, in my opinion, are like Home Depot and Lowe's when I want to go to the mom and pop shop down the corner. That's who I want to deal with.
A good way to put it.
I think the way wrestlers are trained today is almost backwards, because the way I train them is the way you should train them, in my opinion, where you give them that foundation. You don't teach them a million different things. You give them that foundation. And along that foundation you're on training wheels. All right. You're on training wheels with learning the foundation, the lockup, the headlock takeovers, the bumps, the basic bumps. Then I take those training wheels off. And now you're doing those things, but they're not as clean. And I'm letting you do them on your own. You have to let them find their footwork. You guide them a little bit, but they'll find their way. You get them step by step. So every motion they do is second nature. So once they get in the ring, it's like opening up the matrix. Every move and hold you're doing in there is second nature. So now you can hear the crowd. Now you can communicate. Now you can see where the referee is. Now you can see where the camera is. That's where you get better. And it's just a matter of getting out there and doing it over and over and over again. The problem in wrestling is, to get those reps, you have to take the bumps. But then there's ways to do these drills without bumps, which that's what we do, and why our students are all successful.
You put enough miles on your body, it's going to break down no matter how well you take care of it. So you're teaching them ways to learn this. So when they go out and perform, which is what ultimately matters for everybody, right? So that's when they're going to be putting the miles on their body.
Yes, and we're going to deal with promos, and we're going to deal with it like actors do. We're going to do reading lines. You get lines, you get lines. I wrote them for you. You're going to read them right with the sheet right in front of you, and you're going to go back and forth, and we're going to repeat it over and over again until you guys nail it perfectly. Then you're going to put the sheet come down, and you'll do it again, and you'll nail it perfectly, which they did. It took one night, and it was like 4 different groups. But the next week, some of the students that weren't in were here, and I was like, here's what I want. I want a promo program out of you guys, then a match. They went over the promo for 3 minutes, went over their match for an hour and a half. So the promo looked like shit, and their match looked choreographed. So that's where you have to find that happy medium of what works best for you. And the way to do that is the getting reps. And you get reps in front of your coaches and in front of different people and in front of your peers. We do shows where we have a show called The Arena. The kids produce it. I don't even show up. The kids produce it, the kids write it, the kids put it out on the internet. The kids do it all. And Goldie was forefront of that. Goldie and Brett and all those guys, Brett Waters, they're the ones I said, here's my idea. You guys do it. You run with it. And they're the ones that edit it up, put it together, and put it out there. And that's getting judged by your peers. And that's what's going to happen. And it's also working with your peers and being able to lead your peers. And that's what we tried to build here. As opposed to, I think, where other places are, they're literally a machine. It's you feel you're that, you're this, you're that, and that's it.
What a learning experience, though. Just handing it over and letting them, fail on their own. And that's what you got to do, right? You got to make these mistakes to correct them, to get better at them.
I love being wrong because it means I just learned something.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been so wrong for so long that, like, I'm pretty good right now at helping you. You know what I mean? Like, but it was being wrong all the time. So when you think you caught me because I'm wrong right now, great. Now I just learned something. Now I just became more powerful. Like, you didn't catch me. Like, you made me more powerful, bro. Like, I learned something. I'm not afraid. They won't return my emails like they haven't in the last 3 or 4 years about stuff. But they have our wrestlers there and they see what we do.
Right.
But like, that's where I say wrestling's backwards. Put it this way. If I was in WWE or if I was in Ring of Honor for any amount of time or Impact, and I was having these results, I would be a king. I would be up there as like the greatest coach ever. But because I didn't do any of this, because I didn't do the fake stuff, quote unquote, the fake stuff, I'm not real. Mm-hmm. But my results are real, but I'm not considered real.
So they won't answer your emails. There's no heat or anything like that when you see people.
No. Like, I tell our kids, like, hey, if you can get the WWE, go to WWE. Hey, if you can get the AEW, go to AEW. But like, I also am not holding back my feelings about certain things. Like, if I email them, hey, is there a possibility I could come by to coach a little bit and see some of my students and hang out and pick up some knowledge and bring it back, and you don't return my email? And then especially when you had me down in 2018, right after I got fired from Ring of Honor, within a minute, you returned my email and invited me down. And then I haven't been back down since. So it is what it is. I don't have the issue they do. So now that becomes our issue, Right.
Well, the good thing is it hasn't held back your students. And it's also, I think, another cool thing that you're holding the line. You're not just bending to the will just because it's some big corporation. And I don't, again, these may not be lessons that they're taking on right away. Maybe later on it'll kind of hit them, but I think it's fucking awesome, man. I think it's cool because that is like the dream to, like you said it, you like what you do, you love what you're doing, and you're doing it in a way where nobody can tell you otherwise, and you're getting results, and you're not doing it in the same way everyone tells you it should be done.
Yeah. You don't have so many people are like, it's going to hold you back. I go, hold me back from what? They're already not hiring me.
Yeah.
What are they going to not hire me more? And they like money. So where are they going to go? You know what? I really like money, but I hate Dan more. So I'm not going to hire his wrestlers that are really good. That's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to like
no.
that, or I just keep my mouth shut and be miserable. And I'm not into being miserable.
Well, it seems to be working. I mean, that's the great part, is that it's working for you. And this is a really cool opportunity to get it out there. And so we're going
to dive in, and you're going to love it. But I'm going to tell you now, you're going to laugh. You're going to cry. You're going to hit every emotion. I've cried multiple times. And like, that was another thing about doing this project. It was like therapy, man. It was so good. Like, I'm about to cry now. Like, it was that good. And I'm being serious. It was so good for me.
For good for you for what you were exposed to, or the way, what do you mean by that?
I can't. You'll just see the show and you'll realize everything what I'm talking about. You're going to go, oh, that's why he needed this show. You'll see.
I'd love to see the show, and I'd really like to have a follow-up at some point.
Absolutely. And feel free to reach out to me, dude. I give my number out to everybody. This is for everybody out there too. You have any questions or whatever about wrestling? 609-471-7904. Even questions in general, or you're going through shit mentally, just hit me up. Like I said, I ain't got the answers. I got time. Just don't send me any gross pics, please. Please.
I got to say, no one's ever done that. No one's ever just volunteered their info like that.
Well, here's why it all started years ago, because people would always talk shit online. And I said, you know where my gym is, and you know when we're training. Well, now here's my cell phone. So I should never hear any of you talking online. You can just say it to my face, do whatever you want to do, or call me and we can talk. So I shouldn't see any shit talking online. So that's why it started back in like 2012. And I've been doing it ever.
That's interesting, but it's also a good way to combat that, right?
Yep. And I like, vulnerability is power to me. If I see two people going into battle and like one guy is wearing a suit of armor and someone's not, I'm terrified of the guy without the suit of armor who chose to go into battle without the suit of armor. The guy with the suit of armor, I'm assuming, is, not the strongest of people and very weak. So I'm terrified of that guy with no armor in battle. So that's the way I am. I just don't care. Here's all my stuff, Rabbit showed us in 8 Mile, man. You throw all your laundry out there and nobody can fuck with you.
Well, thanks again, man. I really appreciate it. I'll talk to you soon. Big thanks to Danny Cage for taking time to chat with me. The series looks great. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's called Monster Factory. And while you're at it, go to their Instagram or Facebook or Twitter and give them a follow. Why not? Do something good today. Thanks for listening. See you next time.